All right, we're about to dive into a legal text that's 2,000 years old. Now, why would we do that? Because, believe it or not, hidden inside its ancient rules are some incredibly modern ideas. Ideas about intention, apology, and what it really means to make things right. So let's start with a question we all struggle with. And you might be surprised to hear that ancient scholars were debating this exact same thing 2 millennia ago. Their forum, though, wasn't a social media feed. It was the super intricate, detailed rules for sacrifices in the Jerusalem temple. So here's how we're going to break this down. We'll go through 5 sections, starting with the nuts and bolts of the ancient world and ending with the huge philosophical questions they raise about our own lives today. Okay, so to really get this debate, you have to understand the world it happened in. So picture the ancient temple in Jerusalem. This was a place where rituals had to be perfect, down to the smallest detail. And your mindset, what you were actually thinking, was a huge part of that. The basic idea here is simple, but it's also incredibly profound. It wasn't just about what you did, it was about the thought behind what you did. Your internal state, your intention, could literally make or break the entire physical ritual. So just how powerful was a single thought? Well, powerful enough to decide whether the whole ritual worked or was a complete failure. Let's dig into how a simple intention could validate, or totally invalidate, a physical offering. This is where it starts to get really interesting. Okay, so check out this classic debate. Let's say you're bringing a thanks offering, but while the ritual is happening, you accidentally think of your friend's thanks offering instead of your own. Does it still count? One scholar, Rabba, said, yeah, absolutely. A thanks offering is a thanks offering. The general idea is good enough. But another scholar, Rav Hizda, said no way, it's invalid. Your thought has to be for your specific offering. And this idea of focused intention was taken to the absolute extreme with the most important offering of all, the Paschal Lamb. For this one, the law was crystal clear. Every single part of the ritual had to be done with a specific thought for the sake of this Paschal offering, for this owner. If you got the intention wrong about the type of offering or who it was for, the whole thing was worthless. And then, a scholar named Rava comes along and just pushes this whole thing to another level with this amazing logical test. He asks, okay, what if it's a sin offering? First, what if you intend it for the wrong type of sin? Rava says that's fine. A sin offering is a sin offering, close enough. But then what if you intend it for the wrong person? He says that doesn't work because atonement is personal. It has to be for you. But the precision of your intention wasn't just about the what and the who. It was also about the when. And this is where the whole thing gets a little weird, leading to this mind-bending question about time itself. You heard that right. The rabbis debated this wild temporal puzzle. Could an offering that you set aside today somehow atone for a mistake you're going to make tomorrow? A scholar named Rabbi Yirmiyah laid out this exact scenario. You can see on this timeline that the ritual has a bunch of steps. Now, an offering obviously covers a sin that happens before the process even starts. But what if you mess up again during the process? Say, right after the animal is slaughtered, but before the final ritual act. Does the atonement cover that new sin too? It shows they saw atonement not as a single moment, but as a process unfolding through time. But, okay, this is where the debate makes a huge pivot. It moves away from all these intricate rules about how to atone and starts asking a much deeper, more philosophical question about why we even try to make things right in the first place. So, the scholar Rava, the same guy from before, comes back with this fascinating paradox. There's a specific sacrifice called a burnt offering that was for when you failed to do something good. But Rava asks this brilliant question, what is this offering actually doing? And here's his logic. He says, look, on one hand, if you've really, truly repented in your heart, you're already forgiven, so why bring the offering? But on the other hand, if you haven't repented, then the offering is just an empty, hollow gesture, an abomination, he calls it, and it gets rejected anyway. So either way, the physical sacrifice seems totally pointless. And Rava's solution to his own paradox is, well, it's stunning. It changes the entire game. He says a burnt offering isn't a payment. It's not a transaction to cancel a debt. It's a gift. Now, to make this powerful idea really sink in, another sage, Rabbi Shimon, tells a story. It's an analogy about how you'd approach a king after you messed it. He says, first, you send in an advocate, like a lawyer. That's the sin offering. Its job is to go in, make the formal apology, and basically appease the king. But you're not done.
After you're forgiven, that's when you bring the burnt offering. It's not the payment for forgiveness, it's the gift you bring to rebuild that relationship.
So, what does any of this mean for us? I mean, these are intricate arguments about ancient rituals we don't even perform anymore. But it turns out we can take away a whole lot. What this teaches us is that our intention isn't just some vague feeling, it's a real force that actually changes our actions. It shows us there's a huge difference between an apology that's just a transaction, like paying a debt, and one that's a genuine gift meant to rebuild a connection. And maybe most importantly, it shows that our modern struggles with forgiveness and intent, they're part of a conversation that's been going on for thousands of years. And that really leaves us with a final thought for our own lives. The next time you have to apologize or try to make something right, think about this ancient distinction. Are you just trying to pay off a debt to get it over with, or are you trying to rebuild a relationship by bringing a genuine gift?